Alpharetta, where sweep the waters of the Blue Juniata. Swift as an antelope through the forest going, loose were her jetty locks and wavy tresses flowing. Gay was the mountain song of bright Alpharetta, where sweep the waters of the Blue Juniata. Strong and true my arrows are in my painted quiver. Swift goes my light canoe on down the rapid river. Bold is my warrior good, the love of Alpharetta. Proud waves his snowy plume along the Juniata. Soft and low he speaks to me, and then his war cry sounding, rings his voice in thunder loud, from height to height resounding. So sang the Indian girl, bright Alpharetta, where sweep the waters of the Blue Juniata. Fleeting years have borne away the voice of Alpharetta, still sweeps the river on the Blue Juniata. Lilacs all sparkling with dew. I'm lonely, my darling, since parting with you. And by the next meeting I hope to prove true. Change the green lilacs to the red, white, and blue. I once had a sweetheart, but now I have none. Since she's gone and left me, I care not for one. Since she's gone and left me, so lonesome I'll be. She loves another one better than me. Green grow the lilacs all sparkling with dew. I'm lonely, my darling, since parting with you. And by the next meeting I hope to prove true. Change the green lilacs to the red, white, and blue. I passed my love's window both early and late. The looks that she gave me, they made my heart ache. The looks that she gave me were painful to see. She loves another one better than me. Green grow the lilacs all sparkling with dew. I'm lonely, my darling, since parting with you. And by the next meeting I hope to prove true, and change the green lilacs to the red, white, and blue. I wrote my love a letter in rosy red lines. She sent me an answer all twisted in vines, saying keep your love letters and I will keep mine. You write to your love and I'll write to mine. Green grow the lilacs all sparkling with dew. I'm lonely, my darling, since parting with you. And by the next meeting I hope to prove true. Change the green lilacs to the red, white, and blue. come along, boys, and listen to my tale while I tell you of my troubles on the Old Chisholm Trail.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
On a $10 horse and a $40 saddle, I'll go to punching those longhorn cattle.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
Oh, we started up the trail October 23rd. Started up the trail with the two you heard.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
Well, I'm up in the morning before daylight, and before I sleep the moon shines bright.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
It's bacon and beans most every day. I'd soon be eating that prairie hay.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
Oh, it's cloudy in the west and it looks like rain, and my damned old slicker's in the wagon again.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
No shaps, no slicker, and it's pouring down rain, and I swear by God I'll never night hurt again.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
So I went to the boss just to get my roll, and he had me figured out $9 in the hole.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
So I sold my horse and I sold my saddle, and I bid farewell to the longhorn cattle.
Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay, yippee-yay. Come a tie-yi, yippee-yippee-yay.
They were roaming in the gloaming where the roses were in bloom, just a soldier and his sweetheart staunch and true. But her heart is filled with sorrow, and her thoughts are on the morrow, as she pins a rose upon his coat of blue. Do not ask me, love, to linger, for you know not what you say. When duty calls, thy sweetheart's voice is vain. But your heart need not be sighing if I'm not among the dying. I'll be with you when the roses bloom again. When the roses bloom again beside the river, and the robin redbreast sings his sweet refrain, as in days of old lang syne, I'll be with you, sweetheart mine. I'll be with you when the roses bloom again. Mid the rattle of the battle comes a whisper soft and low from a soldier boy who's fallen in the fray. I am dying, Captain, dying, and I know that I must go, but I want your promise ere I pass away. There's a far and distant river where the roses bloom so fair, and a sweetheart who is waiting all in vain. and it's there I'd have you take me. I've been faithful, don't forsake me. I must be there when the roses bloom again. When the roses bloom again beside the river, and the robin redbreast sings his sweet refrain, as in days of old lang syne, I'll be with you, sweetheart mine. I'll be with you when the roses bloom again. I was hanging around town, not earning a dime, out of a job, just spending my time, when a stranger steps up and he said, I suppose you're a bronc rider from the looks of your clothes. I said, yes, you're right, I'm a good one to claim. Do you happen to have any bad ones to tame? He says, I've got one, a bad one to buck. Throwing good riders, he's had lots of luck. I gets all head up and I ask what he pays to ride that old nag for a couple of days. He offers me 10 and I said, I'm your man. The bronc never lived that I couldn't fan. He says, get your saddle, I'll give you a chance. So he hops in the buckboard and rides to the ranch. Early next morning, right after Chuck steps out to see if this outlaw can buck. Down in the horse corral, standing alone, is an old caballo, a Strawberry Roan. Little pig eyes and a big Roman nose, long spavined legs that turn up at the toes, little pin ears all split at the tip, a big 44 brand there on his left hip. I puts on my spurs and I coils up my twine. I said to the stranger, that 10 spot is mine. So I puts the blinds on him and it sure is a fight. Next comes the saddle and I screw it down tight. I piles on his back and well I know then, if I ride this old pony I'll sure earn my 10. For he bows his old neck and he leaps from the ground. 10 circles he makes before he comes down. He's the worst bucking bronco I've seen on the range. He'll turn on a nickel and give you some change. He goes up again and he turns round and round, as if he's quit living down here on the ground. He turns his old belly right up to the sun. He sure is a sun-fishing son of a gun. He goes up in the east and comes down in the west. To stay in that saddle I'm doing my best. Lose both my stirrups and also my hat. Start pulling leather as blind as a bat. He goes up once more and he goes way up high, leaves me a settin' up there in the sky. Turns over twice and I comes down to earth. Starts into cussin' the day of his birth. I've rode lots of ponies out here on the range. There's been one or two that I sure couldn't change. I bet all my money that no man alive can ride that old Strawberry when he makes his high dive. There's a yellow rose in Texas I'm heading now to see. No other cowboy knows her, nobody, only me. She cried so when I left her, it nearly broke my heart. And if we ever meet again, we never more shall part.
She's the sweetest rose of color this cowboy ever knew. Her eyes are like the diamonds, they sparkle like the dew.
You may talk about your fairest maids and sing of Rosalie,
but the yellow rose of Texas beats the bells of Tennessee.
where the Rio Grande is flowing and stars are shining bright. We walked along the river one cold and quiet night. She said, if you remember, we parted long ago. You promised to come back again and never leave me so.
She's the sweetest rose of color this cowboy ever knew. Her eyes are like the diamonds, they sparkle like the dew.
You may talk about your fairest maid and sing of Rosalie,
but the yellow rose of Texas beats the bells of Tennessee.
Now I'm going back to see her, my heart is full of woe. We'll sing the songs together we sang so long ago. I'll pick the banjo gaily and sing the songs of yore, and the yellow rose of Texas will be mine forevermore.
She's the sweetest rose of color this cowboy ever knew. Her eyes are like the diamonds, they sparkle like the dew.
You may talk about your fairest maid and sing of Rosalie,
but the yellow rose of Texas beats the bells of Tennessee. Hey, hey, hey,
Little Joe the Wrangler will never wrangle more. His days with the remuda, they are done. 'Twas a year ago last April he joined the outfit here, just a little Texas stray and all alone. 'Twas long late in the evening he rode up to the herd on a little old brown pony he called Chaw. With his brogan shoes and overalls, a harder looking kid you never in your life had ever saw. His saddle was a southern cack built many years ago, and an OK spur on one foot idly hung, while his hot roll in a cotton sack was loosely tied behind, and a canteen from the saddle horn he'd slung. He said he'd had to leave his home, his daddy'd married twice, and his new ma beat him every day or two. So he saddled up old Chaw one night and lit a shuck this way. Thought he'd try and paddle now his own canoe. Said he'd try and do the best he could if we'd only give him work, though he didn't know straight up about a cow. So the boss he cut him out a mount and kind of put him on, for he sort of liked that little stray somehow. Taught him how to herd the horses and learn to know them all, and to round them up by daylight if he could, to follow the chuck wagon and to always hitch the team, and to help the Cocinero rustle wood. We'd driven to Red River and the weather had been fine. We were camped out in the south side in a bend when a norther commenced blowing, and we doubled up our guard, for it took all hands to hold the cattle then. Little Joe the Wrangler was called out with the rest, and scarcely had the kid got to the herd when the cattle they stampeded like a hailstorm, long they fled, and all of us were riding for the lead. Between the streaks of lightning we could see a horse far out ahead. 'Twas little Joe the Wrangler in the lead. He was riding Old Blue Rocket with his slicker above his head, trying to check the leaders in their speed. At last we got them milling and kinda quieted down, and the extra guard back to the camp did go. But one of them was missing, and we all knew at a glance was our little Texas stray poor Wrangler Joe. Next morning, just at sunup, we found where Rocket fell, down in the washout 20 feet below. Beneath his horse we found him, his spurs had rung the knell for our little Texas stray poor Wrangler Joe. Little Joe the Wrangler will never wrangle more. His days with the remuda, they are done. 'Twas a year ago last April he joined the outfit here, just a little Texas stray and all alone. Gentlemen and ladies fair who grace this famous city, just listen if you've time to spare while I rehearse this ditty. And for the opportunity, conceive yourselves quite lucky, for 'tis not often that you see a hunter from Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. I suppose you've read it in the prints, how Pakenham attempted to make old Hickory Jackson wince, but soon his schemes repented. For we with rifles ready cocked thought such occasion lucky, and soon around the general flocked the hunters of Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky. You've heard, I suppose, how New Orleans is famed for wealth and beauty. There's girls of every hue, it seems, from snowy white to sooty. So Pakenham, he made his brags, if he in fight was lucky, he'd have their girls in cotton bags in spite of old Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky,
hunters of Kentucky.
But Jackson, he was wide awake and was not scared of trifles, for well he knew what aim we take with our Kentucky rifles. He led us down to Cypress Swamp. The ground was low and mucky. There stood John Bull in martial pomp, and here stood old Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky.
Was raised to hide our breast, not that we thought of dying, but then we always like to rest unless the game is flying. Behind it stood our little force, none wished it to be greater, for every man was half a horse and half an alligator.
Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky.
They did not let our patience tire before they showed their faces. We did not choose to waste our fire, so snugly kept our places. But when so near to see them wink, we thought it time to stop 'em, and 'twould have done you good, I think, to see Kentuckians drop 'em.
Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky.
They found at last 'twas vain to fight where lead was all their booty, and so they wisely took to flight and left us all our beauties. And now if danger paranoies, remember what our trade is. Just send for us Kentucky boys and we'll protect your ladies.
Oh, Kentucky, the hunters of Kentucky.
Tell me, Molly, darling, that you love none else but me. For I love you, Molly, darling. You are all the world to me. That you love me. Put your little hand in mine. Take my heart, sweet Molly, darling. Say that you will give me thine. are smiling, Molly darling, through the mystic veil of night. They seem laughing, Molly darling, while fair Luna sheds her light. Oh, no one listens but the flowers, while they hang their heads in shame. They are modest, Molly darling, when they hear me call your name. Molly, sweetest, fairest, dearest, look up, darling, tell me this. Do you love me, Molly darling? Let your answer be a kiss. Way up high in the Syrie peaks, where the yellow-jack pines grow tall, old Sandy Bob and Buster Jig had a roe deer camp last fall. Oh, they taken their horses and a running iron and maybe a dog or two, and they vowed they'd lop any long-eared calves that come within their view. And any old dogie that showed long ears and didn't bush up by day had his long ears whittled and his old hide scorched in a most artistic way. Now one fine day old Sandy Bob, he throws his irons down, says I'm sick of the smell of burning hair and I allows I'm going to town. So they saddles up and they hits him a lope, or it weren't no sight of a ride. And them was the days when an old cowpoke could dial up his old insides. So they started in that Kentucky bar at the head of Whiskey Road, and they winds up down at the depot house some 40 drinks below. Then they sets him up and they turns him around and goes him the other way. Now to tell you the God-forsaken truth, them boys got stewed that day. Well, as they was a-riding back to camp, a-packing a pretty good load, why, who should they meet but the devil himself come a-prancing down the road. Says he, you ornery cowboy skunks, you better be a-hunting your hole. I've come up from Hell's Rim Rock just to gather in your souls. Says Sandy Bob, old devil be damned, we boys are kinda tight, but you ain't a-gonna gather no cowboy souls without you have some kind of a fight. So he punched a hole in his old seagull and he swung her straight and true. He lapped the devil round both of his horns and taken his dallies too. Now Buster Jig was a Riata man with his gut line coiled up neat. So he shaken her out and built him a loop and he roped up the devil's hind feet. Oh, they stretched him down and tailed him down while the irons was a-getting hot. They cropped and swallered, forked his ears, then they branded him up a lot. They pruned him up with a dehorning saw and they knotted his tail for a joke. Then they rode away and left him there, necked up to a blackjack oak. Well, if you're ever up in the Syrie beats and you hear one hell of a wail, you know it's the devil just a-bellerin' around about them knots tied in his tail. As I walked out in the streets of Laredo, as I walked out in Laredo one day, I spied a young cowboy wrapped up in white linen, all wrapped in white linen and cold as the clay. I see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. These words he did say as I boldly stepped by. Come and sit down beside me and hear my sad story. I'm shot in the breast and I know I must die. So beat the drum slowly and play the fife lowly. Play the dead march as you bear me along. Take me to the valley and lay the sod o'er me. I'm shot in the breast and I know I've done wrong. It was once in the saddle I used to go dashing. Was once in the saddle I used to go gay. First to the dram house and then to the card house. I'm shot in the breast and lie dying today. Go fetch me some water, a cool cup of water to soothe my parched lips. Then the poor cowboy said, before I returned, his spirit had left him and gone to its maker. The cowboy was dead. So we beat the drum slowly and played the fife lowly and bitterly wept as we bore him along. For we all loved our comrade, so brave, young and handsome. We all loved our comrade, although